What is up, you guys? Marty McFly coming at you, bringing you guys the merch. So we just had a pretty nice trip. Ended up going over to Chicago for Chess 2025. Absolutely wonderful experience as far as conferences goes. They really did have everything and anything you could possibly imagine. So pretty incredible experience. Got an opportunity to present one of our cases, which was a lot of fun too. So can never have too many of those. And honestly, it changed up the routine a little bit. Got me out of the day-to-day, long hours, long days, long week stretches. It was nice to actually have a little bit of a break and actually be able to travel, talk to people that I look up to, that I admire, that are really changing medicine forever. So it was really an incredible experience. And because we did that, that means we went hunting for some merch. Now, we got a lot to talk about in this video. We picked up a lot of stuff. I mean, not too much from Chicago. I got a couple things, but I got a couple things from other places, including a stop to Target, Park Avenue CDs over in Orlando. We made a couple good trips, and then stopped over at Rust and Wax Records over in Boca, West Palm Beach. So pretty exciting trip, and let's go ahead. Let's not mess around too much. Let's go and get to the trip. I'll show you a couple highlights and some videos, and then I'll show you some of the record stores we went to. Let's get to it. And we're back. So, like I said, absolutely wonderful trip to Chicago. One of my favorite cities of all time. Been there several times, and every time I go, I just have a great experience. And the unfortunate side of Chicago that everybody is well aware of at this point is, I mean, it's called the Windy City because of windbag politicians and political corruption, right? Right. And I would say every time I go, I've always felt for the most part pretty safe. I've never had any issues, people following me, anything like that. I still try to keep safe and do the right things, but the unfortunate part of Chicago is it is a beautiful city that's unfortunately like a miniature war zone if you think about the gang violence and shooting and all this stuff. And of course, Chicago ended up saying it was one of the safest years on record, all this stuff. And of course, right after that, they have a mass shooting in River North, which is where I ended up staying. River North is a beautiful area. It's where Magnificent Mile is and all that. There's a lot of things to do. And I think it's just an unfortunate side effect of Chicago. But for the most part, everyone's just still walking around doing the same thing. Everyone's doing their own thing, minding their own business. I felt pretty safe going to a lot of the businesses, so thankfully I've never had too many issues going there. But wonderful city, surrounded by great people and great food. Some of my favorite places to go to, as I've shown in the video, I would say are like Stations of the Cross, essentially, when it comes to visiting a city. So I always go to the OG Billy Goat Tavern. I did not get to see Sam Cianis this time, unfortunately, but every time I go, I usually go shake his hand and take a picture of him. This was unfortunately not one of those times, but the guy at the bar was super nice. I got my burger, and then I sat down and sat at the bar, and I got the Billy Goat Tavern Hazy IPA, which was phenomenal, by the way. And I told the guy, I was like, I've been coming here for 20 years, and every time I go, I'm always thinking of Anthony Bourdain, because Anthony Bourdain went there, and that's how I first heard about the Billy Goat Tavern. So, and of course with baseball, the curse of baseball. But he's like, well, this is him. This is an old picture that we took him, and it was. I mean, this is like very pencil thin, coming back from Vietnam, Anthony Bourdain. Like when he was doing a lot of that international stuff, and like he looked like he was like pencil thin. That was him. So got a picture of me and him with that. That was pretty exciting. But yeah, kind of the Stations of the Cross for when I go visit Chicago. OG Billy Goat Tavern. Kuma's Corner, which if you're not familiar, is a heavy metal burger joint. You get burgers like this, and they play heavy metal and they play horror movies all day long. Phenomenal bar. Can't recommend it enough. Pizza. Yeah, not a lot of people like deep dish pizza, and I can understand why, but I enjoy it. So I'm in Chicago. I'm going to go eat it because it tastes good, so I like pizza. Therefore, I go eat it. But the great debate between Lou Malnati's and Giordano's and Uno's, it's like, not going to get into that debate. But I like all three. I would say if I was going to put one at the bottom, it's probably Uno's, and then the other two is somewhere between Lou Malnati's and Giordano's. Rick Benny's, which is over in South Chicago, kind of near the convention center where Chest was. Phenomenal breaded steak sandwich. Did not get to have it this time, unfortunately. Really upset about that one. The Girl and the Goat, another phenomenal place I was able to go to this year. If you ever go to Girl and the Goat, make sure you get the oven roasted pig face. And then some other places that I usually think about, there's in Des Plaines or Des Plaines or however you want to pronounce it. There's a wonderful Italian, I think it's called like Carlucci's or something like that. Phenomenal Italian restaurant out there. If you go to Chinatown, a lot of great places to eat. Get the mango drink if you're at any place that serves it. It's basically like custard with the mango slushy and then mango on top of it. Delicious. There's Tour Le Jour, which is a Korean bakery with a French name. They're all over Florida now, so another great place. And really, you can't go wrong when it comes to food in Chicago. It is the place. So, wonderful time there. Wonderful trip. Chest 2025 was incredible. Really can't say enough great things about it. And then the merch, where did we go? I went to two Reckless Records this time. So the first one I went to, I would say, I want to say it was on Michigan Ave. It was underneath the track trestles. And I would say that one was kind of like meh. That's why I didn't even bother taking a video of it. Their selection as far as heavy metal goes was like okay, but nothing I really shake a stick at. CD selection's pretty limited. But afterwards, I went to the Reckless Records on Belmont, which is phenomenal when it comes to metal. I mean, it's a massive store. And I like that they actually are leaving the vinyl sealed. Now, first time I went to Reckless Records, I can't remember which one I went to, but I think that one may have closed down because the ones I went to were not the same one. And I want to say it was closer to the Egg, is the very first time I went to Reckless Records. And back then, they used to open all the vinyl and put paper sleeves. I guess because maybe like theft or people were stealing or something like that. And the Reckless Records on Belmont, phenomenal for heavy metal. Then the other place I always got to go to, because I'm in the Midwest, is The Exchange. If you're not familiar with The Exchange, it's a chain basically it's labeled as a video game store because their video game selections are amazing, but it is a chain. But I go for their music. Their CD, their used CD, new CD, and vinyl selections are incredible. This one, I would say the vinyl metal, it was very, very weak. Not as good as it normally is. That's why I didn't buy anything. But their CDs are what originally got me addicted to the Exchange. Now, the Exchanges in Ohio, I still think are the best. I've been to the ones in Pittsburgh, which are really good. Been to one in Chicago, which is great. But I would say if you're looking for the best of Exchanges, you got to go to Ohio. You either got to go to Cleveland, Cuyahoga Falls, or Medina, and those are the best Exchanges on the planet. So if you're ever in those areas, look for an Exchange. If you're into used CDs, metal, for a really good price, you got to go to those places. And their music DVDs are off the chain. Most of the good music DVDs I bought from the Exchange in the past. So, and of course we ended the trip with a trip to Park Avenue CDs in Orlando. Can't say enough great things about it. Phenomenal people, phenomenal record store. So much. You could spend thousands in this place. And not just on vinyl, but I'm talking about vinyl CDs, 7 inches, books. Their heavy metal book selection's great, especially punk and hardcore. And then their CD selection's unprecedented. It's so freaking good. So, where do we start? We got a lot of shit to talk about, so let's get it started. Vinyl. Something I've wanted on vinyl for a very long time. Now, the band has become more of like a dad joke these days when it comes to this band, but, you know, their recent track, what the heck is his name? But anyway, their newest track that they just came out with was an incredible return to form, especially because the album that they did before this, I felt had a lot of great ideas, but the songs were not really cohesive. And they were shorter and maybe just more ideas as opposed to just completed ideas. But the newest song that they just came out with was incredible, and they named it after the country singer whose name, Morgan Wallen. Anyway, they named the song, basically with regards to Morgan Wallen. But Limp Bizkit, chocolate starfish and a hot dog flavored water. Super, it is what it is. I don't need to explain. I'm sure it's going to make YouTube angry, whatever, who cares. But it's so corny. Everyone knows this band. Everyone knows this album. Popularized by a lot of radio hits. Like half this album is on the radio. And then, of course, repopularized with Mission Impossible 2. But my favorite Limp Bizkit record, this record meant a lot to me just growing up with it because it was always on my CD player. My best friend, who I just recently learned passed away. Really unfortunate, but, he's a good guy. He's the one who introduced me to them, introduced me to this record, and now I think about him every time I play this. And I feel like this album was kind of perfect. Growing up and really having to switch schools, I went to a private school for a little while, and I really feel like I didn't fit in. And being like a kid that was primary public school, having to go to private school, growing up on base, being the only military kid, and then having to go to a private school where I really didn't fit in, and I wasn't wealthy like the rest of they were, and these kids were just so in their way that having a new guy like me, I really didn't fit in with anybody. So I had this record to play a lot, and it got me through some of those times where at least I had something to yell at or something to sing along to where I felt like I fit in a little bit better. So this record means a lot to me. Rest in peace, Devin. I miss you very much, man. Until we see you on the other side, thank you for introducing me to this album, and I'm really glad to have it on vinyl because I've played the CD to death, but I needed to have it in the record player. And it was unfortunate. My buddy Devin, he also grew up actually pretty wealthy, but he never looked at me any differently because of that stuff. But we grew up together, did everything together, got in trouble together more than times than I can count. And he was really that rock for me when I didn't fit into the other schools. Well, he was always an adrenaline chaser. He really wanted a motorcycle. His mom said, I will literally buy you any car off the parking lot if you don't bring home a motorcycle. Well, he brought home a motorcycle, and unfortunately, he was just taking a turn and another car hit him, and I guess he was dead pretty quickly. And I miss him crazy. He was a good guy, man. He would give you the shirt off his back. Really a terrific human being. So, miss you, brother. And then this I finally got to see them live last year. My apologies. When I was traveling to Cleveland for a robotic course, and I finally got to see these guys live, and Miracore was doing backup vocals and cleans and keyboards and stuff, and really what an incredible experience. So glad I got to see them live. Well, this is my favorite album by them, And I think, one, it's the most complete record to me. And it talks about my favorite season, my favorite holiday, and that's Halloween. And the song Halloween is just so, it just grips me, man. It's one of those songs I just truly, I play it over and over and over again. I never get sick of it. And that's King Diamond, Fatal Portrait. I don't know if this is everyone's favorite record by him, but I know it's mine. I have his entire discography on CD thanks to my brother. Appreciate you. And my brother got me into him when I was a little kid. I think I was like 10, 11, 12. And he started playing like, who is this? And why is his voice like this crazy, weird falsetto that makes no sense in the heavy metal scene? And then I realized, before this we had Merciful Fate. And I was like, I don't understand this singer at all. And as the years gone by, and then finally I heard Halloween, because I think the first record I got from them was them. Or Abigail were probably like the first two records I ever heard, and I didn't understand it. And then as I got older, I ended up realizing that one of the greatest guitarists in heavy metal history is in this band. And then I was like, wow, this isn't just about the metal. This is about an experience every time you play one of his records. And I'm so glad I got to see him live, man. He played an incredible show right before Halloween. Of course, they played Halloween. They played so many tracks off of Fatal Portrait, but phenomenal album. And I've had it on CD for such a long time, but I'm really glad I have it on vinyl now. Of course, black, custom black on black. And then, your pretty nice little inserts here. Traditional metal blade. Absolutely incredible. And I know everyone knows and owes a large debt in the metal scene, owes a large debt to King Diamond and their musicians that are in this band. I mean, everybody. Good grief. I mean, of course, you got King, and then you got Michael, Andy, Mickey. I always forget the last guy. Yeah, Timmy. Incredible band, incredible musicians, and I've played it 1,000 times already since I bought the vinyl. I just keep it on replay, just keep looping it, and it really is an amazing band that everyone owes a debt to. So if you haven't heard that yet and you're curious where to start when it comes to King, I think Fatal Portrait is a great place to start. Abigail and them might be like a little bit of a different vibe depending on what you're into, but I think if you really want to catch why these guys are so incredible, I think that's a great place to start. Now this, I was so excited when I finally heard it was coming out because I was kind of done with the Tilion scene. And now I've listened to this band since pretty much the EP came out, and Johnny Craig, you got Kurt, and I didn't hate the Tilion era. There's a lot of great albums and a lot of great tracks I really appreciated. But I think after a while, he's another vocalist where I was just like, I almost need something else. And when he started getting more raspier, I started enjoying it more because it was just so falsetto that it was starting to drive me nuts. But this is Pantheon, Dance Gavin Dance. And I did get the color splatter, so let's go ahead and open that up while we're here. Now, like I said, I grew up in the Johnny era. That's how the first time I ever saw them was with Kurt, actually, but I grew up listening to him with the Johnny era first. And Johnny came back after Kurt left, and then Johnny still had problems and demons he had to deal with. So unfortunately, we didn't get a whole lot of extra Johnny into the band, but I think with the clean vocalist now, who's originally from Adola, doing all the grunt work, I mean, good grief, man. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous vinyl. Absolutely incredible. So happy to have this. Totally worth the wait. But I think what their clean vocalist has done now with this band has really taken the band where I absolutely love them again. And they have so many amazing ideas on this record. And it reminds me of Johnny and Kurt era Dance Gavin Dance. And that's why I love it so much. So, of course we got, there's just so many good things I want to talk about this album, but I'll calm down. But it really is an excellent return to form for Dance Gavin Dance, and I couldn't be happier for them and their success. I'm kind of glad Tillion's gone, to be honest with you. Now, Tilion was really great because he pulled a lot of girls into the scene, into loving this band. He did a lot of weird sexual stuff on stage, a lot of humping the air, and a lot of these gyrations that just sounded like he just wanted to go have sex on the stage with people. And I saw them live with Tilion. I thought they were great, and I think he did a phenomenal job. He sounds incredible live. If you haven't had that opportunity, definitely take that opportunity to go see them live. But I was gonna try and get this off for you guys, but let's wait. Anyway, So, Dance Gavin Dance, Pantheon, incredible record. I love what their new lead singer is doing. I really do. The original, he does leads for Idola as for Idola as well. But I think he did a phenomenal job here. I think he's everything of all the vocalists all mixed together, and really couldn't be happier. I mean, this really is just an incredible return to form. So happy for these guys and all their success. And I might be in the minority here, but I'm kind of glad Tillion's not in the band. I mean, I have a new appreciation and love for this band again, especially with this record. So we always got vinyl. Let's switch to some CDs while we're here. Might as well. So this was I got from Reckless Records on Belmont Street. If you're ever in Chicago, Reckless on Belmont, incredible CD selection, incredible vinyl selection. But I remember this is not the first album from this band, but this was probably the second or third album from this band that my brother gave me and burned it for me, and I was addicted ever since. This is Elegy by Amorphis. Now, I don't know what you want to call this, but this is just like everything into one band all at once. You got death growls, you got clean, beautiful melodic cleans, you got prog, you got keyboards, you got weird instruments. But this era of the band is so much more of what I like about Amorphis. Now, granted, their last couple records I've really enjoyed, but this era is what I love the most about Amorphis. And I think part of it was the singers at the time, and then it was so less proggy. They had a little bit of prog, and it wasn't like overwhelming. But this is the era I love, especially these 8-9 minute long songs with these huge build-ups. And that's what I loved about this record in this era, because they did a lot more of that than they do now. Now it's, let's how many trumpets can we put in? How many stringed keyboards can we put in? And, their lead singer now is incredible, don't get me wrong. And I mean, I think they've done a phenomenal job throughout the years. But maybe it's because it was on Relapse, I'm not sure. But this era of Amorphis is, if you're going to ask me what era, I would say everything from Am Universum through this to Onella. And then, going through the Swan, I always call it the Swan record, but is it Crystal? Yeah, anyway, that whole era. I think once it started getting into the B is when I was like so overwhelming with the wall of sound you're getting from Amorphis. And I think this is still like the golden era of Amorphis for me that I love. It was simpler but more beautiful. And I don't know if you guys remember this band at all, but this was off of Sumerian. Now, this is kind of like that era of the Christian metal era of just metalcore in general. But I remember these guys because the title reminded me of so much of what the other Christian bands were doing. And then I heard them play. I'm like, man, this is straight like metallic hardcore and thrash. And that's what these guys reminded me of. This is Eye the Breather, Life Reaper. Super cheap, phenomenal, love it. This is a great band. Like I said, it's a great crossover of metallic hardcore and thrash. Not a lot of punk attitude, maybe like a little bit of like that emo screamo violence attitude from the early 90s, but really a lot of this mixed together, phenomenal. And this album, they really cleaned up their sound, and everything on this record was like just so tight and mixed so well. And so I recommend them giving a shot. This was a little bit more of a fun thing. So I love the Punisher. He's one of my favorite characters, superheroes, anti-heroes of all time, next to Batman. And I do own a lot of Punisher stuff. And let's just show these together. So this is actually the Punisher soundtrack from the Thomas Jane, John Travolta era of the Punisher, which I love that movie. It's my favorite movie out of the Punisher films. Now, granted, the new one is a TV show, and I love what John Bernthal's doing. Phenomenal. Love it. I love how he loves and cares about the character so much, and it really brings it home to remind you that he's still human, and he can take 20 shots to the chest with a flak vest on and still get up and not be out of breath somehow, but he still has that human side to him. But this soundtrack is one of the best heavy metal movie soundtracks next to like Freddy vs. Jason, like one of my favorites. So, the big one I do remember, Step Up from Drowning Pool, Nickelback Slow Motion, and then the other big one was Broken by Seether and Amy Lee. So, phenomenal. Definitely recommend it. And while we're on the same notion of The Punisher, I had this on pre-order, and I actually ended up getting 2 copies. One of them I found at Target. The other one's still coming, but I wanted this so bad as soon as I knew they were going to re-release it, because anything that is Punisher in the action figure era, like now that it's such an adult thing, it's impossible to get your favorite character these days, and I knew I had to get it. But John Bernthal's The Punisher action figure, Marvel Legends, absolutely incredible. This is from the Daredevil Born Again saga, and I can't wait to see if I can eventually keep getting more Punisher stuff, but I'm so glad I got a copy of this before someone else nagged it off the Target shelves, because right now, after I bought this, I haven't seen it anywhere. So yeah, John Bernthal, Born Again, Daredevil, incredible action figure. While we're on that note, why don't we talk about one more that I was really looking forward to? Now, I am not, there are people and millions of pages on YouTube dedicated to action figures and collecting and stuff like that, and clearly my thing is mostly music, but I love DC, I love Superman, I love Batman first and foremost, Superman, and then when it comes to Marvel, I love Venom, Punisher, and Moon Knight. I feel like the anti-heroes are really just, that's what hits closer to home for me, so I wanted this because of the new Superman, and James Gunn did an absolutely incredible job with the new Superman. I thought it was kind of had that same schlocky stick of like Kevin Feige, what he does with like, the Marvel slapstick stuff, but I thought he did a phenomenal job of still making this feel like the most like the 70s Superman, and that's why I loved it so much. But Gold Label Superman, this is the Battle Damaged edition. Wonderful. Just, they really did a great job. For action figures that only cost $25, man. I mean, I had the Target deal on it too, and the special that got quite a few bucks off. I think they're doing a phenomenal job. Considering these are only $25, I mean, really, I can't believe how well they're doing with their action figures these days. Now, before we go back to vinyl, let's talk about this. Now, this movie, I remember seeing the first commercial after watching The Ninth Circle, and when I saw the first trailer for Terrifier, I was blown away by how violent and brutal it was the first movie I felt genuinely afraid to watch, and my fears were correct. This movie was brutal, but this is the collector's box from Terrifier. Got it at Spirit Halloween. Now, there's some insane people out there. They're getting this guy tattooed on their bodies. It's wild, man. It's absolutely incredible. But it's just, man, it's the first movie other than Sinister, probably in the last 25 years, that really scared the living piss out of me. I mean, the OG Halloween scared me for years, and it ended up being one of my favorite movies of all time. But man, Damon Leone's Terrifier really did it. And then T2 came out, had to see it, and the bedroom scene, even the first 5 minutes of the movie are brutal. And I mean, I just love that it was spooky, it was Halloween-y, and everything felt like it was in a giant costume. And I really love what they've done with T2. And of course, T3, Santa Claus, Christmas, a phenomenal horror movie. The chainsaw scene was, this series itself is probably one of the first series in a long time that really got under my skin, where I thought about going to bed that night, like in shock almost. Like just a mental shock of what was happening. And the chainsaw scene did it, man. So with Terrifier 3, this series is really like, it's up there, man. Probably one of my favorite, scariest series of all time, but the first one that really gripped me by the chest and then just tore my heart out. So, Terrifier series. And this is pretty cool. I actually found this at an FYE over in the Wellington Mall. I don't really live anywhere near Wellington, but we stopped in. And this is pretty cool. This is a limited edition deluxe package, but this is Drowning Pool, self-titled. So pretty cool, man. $1.99 for the deluxe. Heck yeah, count me in. I'm still going to play that. So fantastic. Really happy to have that. Now, CDs. We got a couple more. I'll try to not make these videos too long because we got a long one. I got more vinyl to talk about, so maybe we should just take a break after this and I'll play them in a couple days. Iced Earth, self-titled. One of the first metal bands my brother ever got me into as a little kid. First metal band was Sabotage. Shortly after that came Iced Earth. This is the self-titled OG press. Really, really happy to have this. And of course, Iced Earth, Iced Earth, Iced Earth. They kind of did a Sabbath, Wolf Mother and Judas Priest and, Motorhead, Iced Earth, Iced Earth, Iced Earth. Phenomenal record, but I love this band. With our boy who, decided to be part of the January 6th. He was actually pardoned of everything, I think under witness protection. And then, it's just crazy to see what happened to this band with all of that drama. But I still love the band and what they've done. All their lead singers have been incredible. Everyone's done a great job in different eras of this band. I love the John Schaefer era. That's how I was introduced to Iced Earth. So Schaefer era, he tried coming back and whatever, but Schaefer era, it's probably still my favorite as far as Iced Earth goes. Now this one's a little bit different. Now this is quite a bit older, and I didn't even remember what the record label was, but Revelation Records and Crisis Records. I actually had to look it up. Now, if you like the early Trustkill era metalcore, metallic hardcore sounds, you would probably like them. If you like early Norma Jean, early It Dies Today, Will Haven, El Diablo. That's kind of what this reminds me of. If you like the early Ferret stuff, if you like the early Trustkill, you're probably going to love these guys. So I actually learned about them through Jeremy from Touche Amore. He was talking about these guys. I'm like, I need to check these guys out again. So Will Haven, El Diablo, actually got it dirt cheap, and then Amazon refunded me for the thing anyway, so I'm not complaining. Now, the last 2 CDs, let's go ahead and let's get this over with, because I know you guys are probably like, Marty, your video is way too long. Oh yeah, Hog Wild CDs, not Austin, Texas, but San Antonio, Texas. Check it out, heavy metal punk record. I talked about them before. Last 2 CDs. Now, I love bands like Riverside, and I love this band too, especially this early era and what they've done. You know, that kind of that soft and prog, a little bit of Opeth without too much growling, but just really incredible prog, metal, and rock together. And this is Porcupine Tree. Probably one of my favorite albums by Porcupine Tree. It's a lot of people's favorites. Deadwing. Incredible. I mean, there are a couple songs on here that are like 10 to 12 minutes long. I mean, some of these songs are really long, but this was probably the most metal Deadwing. Like, this had the most metal vibes to it, so absolutely incredible. And then, of course, The Incident by Porcupine Tree. This was another one that's very metal, very prog. A lot of like influences from different bands like Rush, and a little bit of Pink Floyd influence too, obviously, but really just an incredible band. And I like this era of Porcupine Tree better than the newer stuff. Same thing to go with like Riverside. I mean, I think the thing with Riverside is I love them even more and more, even after Piotr died. I love what they've done as a band. Truly an incredibly talented group of people. So, yeah, Porcupine Tree, Will Haven, Eye of the Breather, we got Iced Earth, we got The Punisher, we got Amorphous, we got lots of vinyl. I have so much more vinyl to talk about because apparently it's been a while since I've done one of these, but I got everything from the newest Panopticon, and of course, I got the deluxe box edition from Paradise Lost. We'll be talking about that soon. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are taking care of each other, and peace.